Hey everybody, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I am Tim Derling, and my co-host Will is joining me on this episode. First time in a while, I think.
It's been a while for sure.
Yeah,
I think since the Aerosmith top five, maybe,
yeah,
or yeah, it's been a
yeah,
while.
maybe. It's been quite a while, but what we're here to do is talk about um, a show that Will would have seen, I guess, as if you're watching this now, 2 weeks ago. And we're talking about it because it's Ace Frehley. And we talked a lot about this, and I would have loved to have gone to this show. It was at the Aura Club in Portland, but it's too close to another show, namely Vandenberg, that I've already had tickets for and going to see in a couple weeks' time. But I do know the venue. I'm interested to get Will's point of view on all of it. Really, got the set list pulled up, so we're gonna just basically see if Will can take us through what it was like to go see the original Spaceman.
So I guess first of all, it's Kiss fans, and these are about as diehard Kiss fans as you can get. You're in a small club in Portland. It holds roughly 1,000, maybe less. You know that
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
don't even know if it would hit 1,000, but what did you think of the venue?
I saw Dirty Honey there,
Oh,
so
right,
I was
right.
somewhat familiar. But the venue's good. The difference between this and Dirty Honey is the upstairs has like seating that's very close to the stage. You're basically right on top of it. For Ace, it was like you paid for a seat, but in Dirty Honey, it was just general admission. So if you got to a seat first, you could just sit down. So based on how cold it was, maybe I should have bought a seat and whatever, but the venue's cool. Everything's very close. When you're in front of the stage and you look to the left, like the merch table's right there, the bar is right there, and the door is basically right there. Like it's very small, and the bathrooms are close. So the venue's cool. For the acts they get, they seem to be pretty popular. Ace for a Kiss fan is a big name, and that's the closest he's played since the Psycho Circus tour with Kiss.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like I had to go. I've never seen Ace in any form.
Well, yeah, and that's important to bring up because I actually, Matt and I actually saw Kiss on the Psycho Circus tour there at what was then the Cumberland County Civic Center, which is now the Cross Insurance Center. But so I think Aura is connected with that bigger venue. It's just like the smaller version of it, I think. But
I don't
yeah, we
know.
talked about how Will's seen Kiss plenty of times, but that's right, you've never seen Ace.
No, the only Kiss members I've seen are Paul, Gene, Tommy, and Eric.
Yeah,
So, it is a 5 hour drive, but I had to go and see Ace to say that I saw him, regardless of where he was.
yeah.
I don't imagine him coming to Moncton, so it
And
is
if
what
he
it is.
does, you'll
But
probably be there too, right?
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've never seen Ace live in concert. Way back when, and this would have been a cool show to be at because I remember Matt sending me a lot of pictures when he lived in Ontario. He went to see when Peter and Ace did the Bad Boys of Kiss tour just prior to the reunion. And it was in a relatively small club. And, I thought, oh, that would have been cool. But, you know, it's Ace. He's ostensibly touring in support of his most recent album, 10,000 Volts, although we're going to get to the set list and see how that played out. So I guess my first question would be who, if you know who they are, who is in his band now?
I actually had to do some searching because if you just Google his band, it doesn't come up correctly. And I just had to go based on what they look like on Instagram. But at the start of the show, I got this pic. I cannot tell if you can see that. Oh, that's very blurry.
RCMC?
RCMC. So that's Rock City Machine Company. So I guess that's from his bass player. His bass player and guitar player, I guess, have another band, their own band, and it's that Rock City Machine Company, and I'm not exactly sure what they're doing, but they are promoting themselves through pics. So that came from Ryan Cook,
Oh,
who is his
yes,
bass
Ryan.
player.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also in the band is Jeremy Asbrock, which is his guitar player.
Okay.
who was very talented, I guess. I mean, his band was very tight, and his drummer was Scott Coogan,
Okay, yes.
and lead
Scott and
vocals.
Ryan,
And
I think, have played with Ace for a while.
yeah, and they do lead vocals as well at
Yeah,
times. And
yeah,
Jeremy does sing some backup. So that is who was in his band. Um, I guess is in his band right now.
yeah. So, what was the? I'm just going to guess you saw a lot of Kiss shirts there.
There were some Kiss shirts. I was trying to spot an End of the Road shirt or something new that a young guy just wouldn't even think. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, Kiss is awesome." It'd be like Tommy, but I didn't see a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of that. There was a couple reunion shirts. There was like, I think only one person had their face painted. Um, but yeah, it wasn't as diehard Kiss fans as I would have thought. But there's definitely nobody there that wasn't a Kiss fan.
Well, in all honesty, too, we have to remember it, as you said before, it was cold.
It
That
was
was cold.
cold.
That was a cold. I mean, I'm 5 hours away from where you would have been, but that was a cold weekend.
It was just as cold there. Like,
Yeah. So I can imagine the makeup probably would have chipped and cracked, and yeah, you couldn't cover your face, if you
yeah,
were
and
standing outside.
people had sweaters on, so like they probably had a Kiss shirt on, but they had a sweater on
Yeah.
or a coat on, and it was yeah, it was a lot. But then there's also you're in Portland. There's a lot of guys that come through New Hampshire. There's a lot of bands that come through close. So there was like an Extreme shirt from when they were in that area last summer, and more up to date concert shirts, but from the New Hampshire, Portland area. So, I mean, that's also cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Portland is a main stop. I wish more bands would go a little bit further east to Bangor because that's a much shorter drive for people like us. But Portland is a pretty regular stop if you're going to tour in Maine at all. So yeah, so Matt and I saw uh, Jeff Tate at Aura last year and going to see Vandenberg. So yeah, I like the quality. You think about, okay, Jeff Tate, Ace Frehley, Vandenberg. Who else might they get? Who I know Mr. Big played there. We didn't get to that one, but so yeah. So let's get into the set. Now, when I look at Setlist FM from that night, the first thing I see listed is Stratosphere.
That's correct.
Was
But
that over the PA?
it was just over the PA.
Okay,
Also,
so that's why there's a little cassette icon next to it. That must mean it's
yes.
pre-taped.
Also, some context to this show. So, Ace notoriously being late for things in the past or being lost or whatever. So, the doors to the show opened at 7 and the show started at 8. So, the first band was All Sinners. They played 8 to 8:30. Then there was about a half an hour break, and Day to Attend played roughly 9 to 9:30 or like quarter to 10 or something in there. Also, a side note, Day to Attend did a cover of Seasons of Wither, which is kind of a weird choice.
I like
but
that song.
It was cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. You must have perked up and you heard that. You're like, oh, I know this.
Yeah, because they were doing all original stuff, and I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. They're a local band, and then they started playing that. And I was like, this is kind of cool, actually. So, but then we waited forever. Like I thought curfew was 12 because that's when Dirty Honey stopped playing, and then 10:30 rolled around, nothing. 11 rolled around, nothing. Quarter after 11 rolled around, nothing. And I was like, if curfew is at 12, there is a problem here. Like Ace is going to come out and play 45 minutes, or
Yeah.
I thought he was going to come out quarter to 11, play an hour 15. Then 11 hit, and I was like, oh boy. So it was pretty close to 11:30, and after every song stopped playing, people were yelling, and where is he? And I was like, I think people are going to start to leave.
Yeah.
And at roughly, it was 20 after 11, they started playing Stratosphere through the PA. And he played until 1 o'clock in the morning.
I got to say, I don't understand. How hard is it to be on time?
Maybe that was on time, but why did we wait an hour and a half?
It doesn't need to be that late. Like that seems I mean, Who starts at 20 after if that's how it's nobody plans to start 20 after anything.
I know. So I don't know
So,
if he was supposed to be there earlier or if he just was like, yeah, we'll wait an hour and a half and they'll be super excited. But people were getting pretty
yeah.
worked up there for a while.
Wow.
Anyways, so then Stratosphere started playing through the PA.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I'm no pun intended, I'm kind of shocked at his opening song. He started with Shock Me.
He did, and they sounded phenomenal. Like, honestly, Shock Me sounded exactly how it was supposed to sound. Ace sounded really good. Um, and that's when I was like, okay, like maybe he was late. Maybe they're gonna still do the full set, but like if this is what we're gonna get,
Yeah.
really good. Like I've heard a lot of stuff about Ace, like he's gonna be so loud it hurts. His band, like I've seen videos, sometimes they play out of tune, and sometimes Ace is running behind them, or like whatever. The sound was
Yeah.
good. They were loud, but no louder than any other band you've seen play a gig. So it was like enjoyable. And they sounded spot on. Like they were very, very tight. And Ace sounded, he was stumbling a little bit when he walked out, questionable, but he sounded really good.
Good. I mean, that's great. And that's such a signature song for him. Like usually he does that later in the set and then does a solo after it. So it sounds like some thought was maybe put into this, although, we'll get to that. Next up says they did Deuce, which I mean that's Kiss have opened a lot of shows with that, or it's the second song in the set. But this brings me to my point. There's an awful lot of Kiss in this set. I mean, yes, there's going to be Kiss in the set, but you'd think that he'd concentrate on songs that either he wrote or he sang for the most part.
Yeah. Now, something I didn't expect, he sang the first of Deuce,
Oh,
which I thought he threw Kiss songs in to give his voice a break. But when
yeah,
Deuce started, he was singing it, and then it bounced around and they kind of shared vocals. But he sang the first verse, which is,
I
I
mean,
wasn't expecting
I can
that.
hear that. I can hear it, but yeah, you're right. You'd think that, especially where he's got, I mean, Scott Coogan's a great. When I think that name, like he sang the on Origins Volume One, what's the Zeppelin song? Bring It On Home. He sounds fantastic on that song. So, yeah, give his voice a break.
Yeah. But no, he sang the first verse and then
Yeah.
kind of bounced around some. So
So next up looks to me like the one new song he played, and it's not even anyway from 10,000 volt Cherry Medicine.
yeah. And again, it sounded really good. I was hoping they not replace this with 10,000 volts. I was hoping he'd also play
Mm-hmm.
10,000
You'd
volts.
think he'd play the title song from the album, but
Right. Like going through this, I'm not upset when he plays Kiss songs that he sang or Kiss songs that he wrote, but I wish he would dial down the Kiss songs he had no part in and add something from Unmasked that he sang or
oh,
something from
talk to me.
Dynasty that he sang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
talk to
like
me.
do Talk
2000
to Me
Man, or
or like yeah, you didn't write 2000 Man, but you sang it or
he's known
do
for he's known for it, and he sang it on the album. I mean, he could even do Strange Ways because he wrote that, or Getaway,
and
like
I
the
see
Die
it.
Hard, or God forbid, Dark Light.
I mean, why not? It's
Why
an Ace
not?
show. There's
Yeah,
nobody coming to see you that doesn't know you're Ace. Like they know you're
exactly.
from Kiss, but if you play Ace
If
stuff,
you're at an
I'm
Ace
sure they're
Frehley
gonna get it.
show, you're a Kiss fan, and you're probably a pretty big Kiss fan.
Right. To even know that he's coming.
Yeah, to
Because
even know. Yeah,
he's not promoted as Ace Frehley from Kiss. He's
no,
pretty like for a very long time has been Ace Frehley.
yeah, yeah. He hasn't needed that qualifier to um, to identify himself. Now, next up, I was pleased to see this because I think the only thing from the Fraley's Comet era. He did Rock Soldiers. How did that sound?
Again, he sounded really good. He kind of got the tried to get the crowd to sing it some, which normally is fine, but he did that, like the crowd would sing, especially the ace in their deck
Yeah,
line. He got the crowd to sing it, but then he also sang it. So he
at the
like
wrong time.
doubled up the lines. He got us to sing it, and then instead of continuing to play and continuing the song, he then sang it to continue the song, which I was like, okay, but it
Yeah,
was
I
it
see
was
what you
sad.
mean.
Yeah, it sounded good. And again, like that's the stuff I want to hear
Well,
when I'm
and
here.
did you notice that there was much of a reaction when they went into this song?
Uh yeah, but it also came off the back of Cherry Medicine, and I saw a couple people in the crowd. The set list got posted on the stage, and you could, if you zoomed in your phone really far, you could kind of see it. And there was a couple of people listening to Cherry Medicine on Spotify in their ear because they didn't
Yeah,
know it.
yeah. Um, it just because it makes me wonder. I mean, there are things from those albums which he could have done, like from the late '80s albums that he could have done Into the Night or Something Moved, or some of those, or Do Ya? I mean, that's a cover, but I mean, people know it, right?
Yeah.
And
Or you
that's
could
the
have even done Hide Your Heart, which
Hide Your Heart would have been
Kiss
fun.
fans would have maybe known, but also you
Yeah,
did it. So,
yeah. Or you could have done what is it called? Too Young to Die. A lot of people like that one that Peter sang on
yeah.
Trouble Walking. But um, with all of these, I'm looking down for the set list, and we'll get to them. But yeah, there are a lot of Kiss songs that are, yes, Ace played on them, and yes, people know the solos, but they don't need to be there. And he could have replaced them. I mean, I talked about the Origins, the two covers albums. He's got all kinds of classic rock covers that he has recorded legitimate versions of that people know. And even if they don't have the Origins albums, he could have done them and gotten the crowd. Like he could have done
Yeah.
White Room, or he could have done I'm Down, or just like he's got a wealth of these songs that he has recorded that he's ignoring, and I don't understand that in favor of Deuce or
And I thought maybe it was the vocal break, but he's singing parts of Deuce and he's singing parts of other songs we'll get to. But like
yeah.
if you were gonna sing them anyway, just sing your own
Well,
something you've done.
the next thing listed is Blues Jam, and is that as boring as it sounds like?
I mean, they threw in some Zeppelin riffs and just kind of diddled around a bit while Ace
Why wouldn't they
changed
have
his
done
shirt or something.
if they're going to do something instrumental? Why wouldn't they do Fractured Mirror or
Well, Ace wasn't really like he might have been there included, but he's like changing his shirt or somebody's changing guitars or
oh,
somebody. So it's like not a silence. But
right? Okay,
some of them went on like, okay, you could have cut that 2 minutes short, but whatever.
yeah.
But that's what it was kind of used for.
Speaking of songs that really don't make sense in an Ace Frehley set, Love Gun.
Yeah, so Scott Coogan did sing this and he sounded fantastic.
I'm sure he did, but it's just like why, why Love Gun?
I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't make that much sense. I've seen other set lists and he does do a Strange Ways or throws in something, but he usually takes out something else that he's also sang or wrote, and Love
Yeah.
Gun's a staple. I don't know why. And maybe he just loves that song, which is fine.
Now the next two are Kiss songs, but I'm totally on board. Rocket Ride, that's an Ace song. That's an Ace Kiss song. He wrote it, he sings it. How was
Yeah,
that?
I don't love that song, which is a hot take because I know so many Kiss fans like are
I give it.
diehard for that song.
I mean, I like it, but I don't.
But I mean, how old is Ace now? Late
Ace
60s?
Ace is born 51, so 75. No, six. I can't do math well.
Yeah, he's pretty old. Anyways, given that age, before the song, he looks out in the audience, goes, "Wow, there's a lot of cute girls here. I bet some of them could use a," and then start singing the song.
Come
And
on,
I'm like, oh, okay, like
Ace is Ace. I don't. It comes off creepy, but I just think Ace he doesn't know any better. Like he still think I don't know.
yeah. I mean, and he's said some other stuff where it's like, all right, his band is like Ace,
Yeah,
stop. But
yeah,
I mean, as a fan, I like it in the sense that like it's like, come on, like that's Ace.
Yeah.
Like you're a diehard Kiss fan, and like I said multiple times in this, I was like, man, that is Ace Frehley up there playing Kiss songs and playing his solo stuff. This is insane.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, Rocket Ride sounded really good live. I probably like it more live than I've ever heard it before. And this is kind of where you saw uh he was watching for some part or for some part of the song, his other guitar player trying to get back into where he was. And then Jeremy sang a line to get him on track. And then he sang the same line late and was kind of lost in the song. But if you weren't watching that, you probably couldn't tell.
I mean, okay, let's err on the side of, caution and say maybe his in-ear monitors weren't working at that point.
Maybe. Sure, we'll go with that.
But
But
next up, totally makes sense. Parasite. He didn't sing it originally, but he wrote it, and it's great.
it is great. And I'm glad he played it.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've heard that live.
Yeah.
That's what this is. I've heard most of the set list before through seeing Kiss. So I'm glad I got to hear something that I've never heard.
That's true. That's a good point, too. And it says in Setlist FM that it was preceded by a tease of How Many More Times by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because that's not the same tempo as Parasite. How Many More Times is like dun 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 dun, and Parasite is just like,
yeah.
I don't know how they got from, but
there's a pretty distinct pause between. It's basically just another. We have a few seconds. Let's do this.
Yeah, and then we get another blues jam.
That was a change. Ace went through multiple shirts. I think he changed 4 or 5 times.
Interesting. Okay. And then, surprisingly, another thing that surprises me, but not a lot from the 78 solo album. I would have thought this would have been his time to throw in all kinds of stuff, but Rip It Out. Like, how was that?
So this was another mistake.
Uh-oh.
If you look, so this was his 3rd night in a row playing. He played New Hampshire and then Connecticut and then this show back to back to back. And he said multiple times, he's like, yeah, this 3rd night in a row. There's going to be some bumps along the way. We're going to be making a few mistakes, but we're still going to have fun. Like that kind of. This was supposed to be Detroit Rock City. And he messed up and introduced Rip It Out and started playing it. So his band just started playing it.
It fell in, okay.
But really, they skipped a song.
Oh, they didn't play Detroit Rock City?
They did, but they played it next.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's how it's listed here.
Yeah, so they were supposed to go Parasite, Detroit Rock City, Rip It Out. And they did Parasite, Rip It Out, Detroit Rock City because they skipped on the set list. But it was fine.
If you're playing an Aces band, I would think you've got to be ready for anything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they were really good about it. And like, I didn't see the set list. I looked at it before I went just to see, but I wasn't expecting Detroit Rock City to start, so I couldn't tell in that sense. So like pulled it off pretty good. But yeah, if you're the band, you've got to be whatever Ace starts playing, you just have to jump in.
If he starts playing Strange Ways, you better be on it. You better at least give it a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we get another blues jam. This one says without Ace. So I mean, if you're just looking at strictly song titles, Blues Jam appears here 4 times in the set, and yeah.
It's a costume change or something.
Next up is Detroit Rock City. I assume Scott sang that one too.
Yes, I think so.
Can't imagine Ace. I think he has sang it, but that's.
It was either that or it was another Ace sang a line and someone else sang a line.
Oh, okay.
Can't remember exactly.
Up is a song that Ace didn't co-write or sing, but I'm okay with it because it's one of my favorites, and She. And that's not one. Was that one you'd never heard? Kiss?
Yeah. And I mean, again, I'm assuming he likes that song.
Yeah.
Because that's a great song, but it's also like a deeper track.
It's kind of a deeper
Kiss,
cut.
so
Yeah, I mean, it's on a live, but I guess if it's on a live, it's fair game. But
yeah, so I'm glad he played that because I also love that song.
Yeah. Then, of course, his best known solo song, New York Groove. I mean, was that like the most, were people like really excited about that one more than any other?
Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone was pretty excited about that. And back, back in the, like that went on for so long, and everyone was singing, and the band was having fun, and that was really entertaining.
Blues Jam again, the last one. And then Cold Gin, which that's the first Ace song on any Kiss album. And it's his song. So yeah.
And he sang it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Which if you listen to, it's funny, like I know Gene sings it, but you can tell Ace wrote it. The phrasing in the song. It's totally Ace.
so it was cool to hear him sing that
Yeah.
live. Like,
And then it says Ace Frehley guitar solo contained many classic rock riffs.
yeah, that he threw in like the Smoke on the Water riff and some Led Zeppelin riffs, and then just did a big solo that was
Like, did he have
messy
the
at
smoking
times,
guitar and all that?
but he did have the smoking guitar,
That's
and
a small venue to do that in.
it was pretty smoky in there
Yeah.
because it just went on. It started smoking, and I was like, oh, that's man, that's Ace doing the smoking guitar, and it just
Yeah.
kept going. I was like,
That's like,
okay. Yeah. It's like, oh, where is it? I can't see it.
oh
No, but
man.
that was cool. And the solo was fairly extensive, and it just went on and on. But I mean, it's Ace, like
Yeah.
doing a solo. It was just
Yeah.
everyone was into it.
And then Shout It Out Loud, which Ace had very little to do with.
I know, like yeah, the last two songs, it's like okay, we get it, but we've all heard these songs so many
Yeah.
times, and if you have seen Kiss in the last 20 years, this is probably the last two songs they played,
Yeah.
almost. Like,
And then Rock and Roll All Night, which that makes sense. You kind of he has to play Rock and Roll All Night because you're playing to diehards, but you're also playing to somebody that's like, oh, he was in Kiss, come, you'll like it. And maybe that's
yeah, I guess, but if you want, in my mind, it'd be cool to end on like New York Groove. Like that was your
that would make
time
that
to
would be a statement.
shine.
That would be the finale of the show, right?
So maybe you put Shout It Out Loud earlier and then do Rock and Roll All Night, then do New York Groove and end it there or something. But I mean, it is a show. He was part of those songs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's
And
got every right to play them. It's just interesting. Now, doesn't look like there was an encore.
no, they basically said, like, we've been doing this long enough, and I know you guys know what's going to happen. So we're just going to play the last
Yeah.
song and then we're going
Yeah.
to leave.
Yeah, I
All right,
mean the
I want to go
encore
home.
is, you've been to enough concerts. It's old fashioned and it's they're going to come back out, but I don't know. There's still something fun about it, and you're like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do. That kind of.
Yeah,
So all in all, um, good time sounds like.
it was a good time. And I also have, at one point, Ace went backstage and grabbed something, and he came out to throw it out on stage, and I happened to catch it. So it's little Maine lobster.
Lobster, yeah.
So yeah, there was some other stuff that happened during the show. A couple fights broke out, and some people getting rowdy. So I was like second row from the barrier, and ended up moving back. And then I just went and stood. The venue's not very big, and I'm tall enough, so I just went back towards the back to get out of that. I didn't care to be there for that.
Yeah,
And he threw that right to me, and I was like, "That's pretty crazy." I mean, no one would ever look at that and go, "Oh, you saw Ace," but
yeah. That's kind of weird. You'd think he'd have put a sticker on it or a button or something, but
yeah, but
or,
he must have just saw it somewhere out for lunch and was like, "Oh, I'll throw this out." So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I
uh,
mean, the show was good, and he sounded really good. I was,
yeah.
I've seen a lot of good clips, and I
Well,
was excited.
the thing about Ace is that you see clips that are pretty good, and then you see ones that are just a dumpster fire of a show, and
I
and
know.
you're all and we were all like, man, I hope Will's going to drive in 5 hours. Man, I hope it's good. So I'm glad to hear that it was. Did
Yeah,
you
and like,
did you get to any stores down there, any music stores, or was it just for the show?
no, pretty much just the show. We left Saturday morning, but again, February could snow 4 feet, so
Yeah, you
we
never know.
left
That's
early, took
right.
our time, And then by the time you get there and eat something and get down to the show, the park, and wait, it was
Yeah.
pretty much all the time.
What was I going to say? Uh, oh, getting old sucks. It just went right out of my head. Oh, yes, now I know what it is. And folks, if you and I'm sure a lot of you watching this, you probably have seen a lot of clips posted by Ultimate Classic Rock and the official Ultimate Classic Rock posting about the Portland show. You can see Will.
Yeah, right in the way of the camera, which
Yeah,
is
right in
great.
the way of the camera. Yeah, so it's that's him. Uh, and that's why we know all about the "you're really tall." So yeah, get into
Yeah.
that.
But I mean, for anyone that's thinking about seeing Ace and is worried about him sounding terrible or based on some clips, I'm sure he has his night or so, but the band's really good. Ace has his Ace moments where he's off time a bit or misses a line or whatever, but like the band sounds good. They're in tune and he does what he can. And sometimes he's not quite at the mic, but you can see his mouth moving and then he
Yeah,
figures it out. But I don't know. For the
I
price
just did
they're
the
asking
math
for
in my
tickets,
head. He's almost 74, so he'll be 74 at the end of April.
yeah.
So yeah, and really, I mean, you got Ace and you got Gene, and that's to hear original Kiss guys. That's it. That's all you got out there on the road now, which is pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, thanks for that review, Will. Of course, now I wish I'd have gone, but maybe he'll be through again. So yeah,
Hopefully.
folks, have you seen Ace on this tour? Have you seen Ace on any solo tours? Curious to know your thoughts. Maybe some interesting songs he might have done along the way, or some funny stories about things that might have happened, because you just never know, right? Thanks, Will, for doing this, and
Of
of
course.
course we'll be back. And we want to thank everybody for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Please like, subscribe, and go listen to some Ace or Kiss or somewhere in the middle.